Ladies and gentlemen, we're running a little bit late. My fault. Apologize. We'd like to welcome everybody out this evening to the American Fork City Council meeting. It's December 9th, 2025. It's a few minutes past about 7:06 to be official. We appreciate you being here. It's nice to see people in our chambers. We'll begin with a public hearing, and then we're here to receive we're in a public hearing to receive input from the public with respect to the proposed issuance by the local building authority of the city of lease revenue bonds. Any person wishing to express his or her views on this initiative, the issuance of these bonds, or the facilities be financed by the bonds, can come forward at this time. It's an open mic, and we'd love to hear from you.
I'm signed up to speak later on other issues, but being as this is the time for the bond. Royce Shetley.
Yes.
The amount of the bond concerns me. I don't have any details, but a $50 million bond, it seems like that's about the same dollar amount that put the kibosh on the fiber and changed our moving forward on that one. I just wonder if $50 million is what we really need to do it right, or if some of that is going to be building monuments like I see going up in Lehigh and in Saratoga Springs and in Orem, these monstrous buildings that the cities are putting in around us. I fully understand the need to upgrade the Public Works complex, but I wonder if there's maybe not a sharper pencil in the drawer or a pencil sharpener in the office, and we need to look for it and maybe see if we can do it for a little less than $50 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Is there anybody else that would like to make public comment? Okay. You know, I'm going to make a little bit of a public comment. So to understand, this is for the Public Works, the upgrading of the Public Works. I can assure everybody that it is not to build monuments. And it is a big box. The parameters resolution is a very big box. It will, as we design and we look at a very practical way of accomplishing how to bring our Public Works up to the latest standards for the growth of the city, I expect it'll be less than that. But the parameters resolution is just kind of a bigger box. But then we'll fine tune the planning process, the actual engineering, and get to the final cost. But this is the nuts and bolts of the city. This is your water, this is your sewer, things like that. We will be very practical. This council is practical. Is there anybody else that would like to make comment at this time? Seeing none, we will close this public hearing and we'll move on to our regular session. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, after which we'll have an invocation by Council Member John, and then I will conduct the roll call. If everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we come before this night to meet as the American Fork City Council, we are grateful for the opportunity that we have to meet with our residents. We're thankful for the form of government that we have, for the input that we get to receive for our residents, and we pray that as we continue this meeting that Thou would be with us, that we might be able to have a civil dialogue, to be able to understand each other's positions. Father, we're grateful for the employees of our great city, for the work that they do behind the scenes, and we're thankful for the many hours that they put in and we're grateful for our public safety and ask that thou watch over them and keep them safe. Father, we pray now that thou would help us to make the decisions that would be pleasing unto thee, that we might be able to deliberate and be able to listen to thy voice. And these things we're grateful for. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Okay. Now conduct the roll call. Councilmember Hunter?
Here.
Councilmember Holly?
Here.
Councilmember John?
Here.
Councilmember Carroll?
Here.
Councilmember Tater?
Here.
Okay, item number 2 is time we set aside for public comment. We love to hear from everybody. We'd ask you to keep your comments about 2 minutes, and we have up towards to 20 minutes. I have some that have submitted. I think there's 4, and I'll take these first, but we're not limited to only the people that have submitted on paper. But we'll start with Mrs. Ann Baxter. Ann, if you come forward. And we'd ask you to, even though I just said it, if you just say it for the public record, state your name.
Sure. My name is Ann Baxter. I am a resident of American Fork. I bought the house in 2005, 20 years ago. My husband Robert joined me in 2012. We love our home and we love living in American Fork. First of all, I understand that there is a verbal agreement from American Fork officials to move forward with the Community Cat Pilot Program. And I wanted to say a big thank you for that. And it makes me even more proud to say I am from American Fork. When our life situation presented us with the opportunity to get a cat, I actually had given up 2 cats to my daughter when I married Robert. He already had 2 dogs and lived 2,000 miles away. I was thrilled with the prospect of getting a new kitty and was led to the Linden Animal Shelter, where I found a cute gray tabby kitten who we named Maggie. That was just over 2 years ago. At that point, I became much more aware and involved with all things cat. And I volunteered at the closest Petco, which is in Draper, to help care for the cats there. As I looked around for other ways to advocate for cats, I discovered the Best Friends program and learned about their TNVR, Trap, Neuter, Vaccinate, Return program. I think it's an inspired program. I learned that if I hadn't chosen Maggie, there was a 40% chance she would have been destroyed. You may be aware that in 2024, Governor Cox declared that year as the no-kill shelter year for the state of Utah. And every other county in the state has gotten behind that. Utah County is the only county in the state that is not yet no-kill. In a May 2023 poll shows that 72% of local local registered voters support implementing a community cat program. And I again congratulate you for agreeing to move forward with that pilot program in American Fork. My son lives and works in Salt Lake County, which is a no-kill county. His business has recently acquired a community cat. I had him check to see if that cat had been tipped, and it appears it has. That cat has brought joy and a sense of camaraderie to his workplace, a great example of a successful community cat. Thank you for letting me come tonight and share my experience with you, and thank you again for your commitment. Please let me know if there's any way I can help.
Thank you. And then now I'll move on to Samarissa Stevens.
Hi, do I have to move this? I don't know. I'm Samarissa Bell Stevens. Mayor Frost, council members, first thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for considering the additional park funding for Living Bethlehem in the Christmas market this year. We truly appreciate the city's partnership and the support that allows us to bring these meaningful experiences to the American Fork families. I wanted to offer just 2 brief clarifications for the record, simply so that the public timeline and context are accurate. These aren't complaints, these are just clarifications. So the packet states that 1, the city did not charge Harrington Center for the Arts the new rates for our 2024 Bethlehem since we had submitted the special event application prior to adopting the new rates. However, the new rates were adopted on June 11th, 2024. Our timeline is documented as follows. On July 23rd, 2024, Harrington Center for the Arts requested dates for the amphitheater rental. September 2024, we submitted a special event permit application. Despite both our date request and our application occurring after the new rates were adopted, we were still charged the same rate for the 2023 as we had been charged for 2023, as it is an off-season nonprofit rental for a community performance. Secondly, it says in the packet, it says we notified Harrington of the exact cost for their event once they submitted their application outlining the dates for their event. Our record shows that we requested dates on July 16th, 2025 for Harrington Center for the Arts use of this year. And we first learned that Living Bethlehem would be classified as a special event on October 30th, less than a month before our event was scheduled. So our understanding prior to that was based on the ordinance and the June 2024 council discussion, and which described special event fees as applying to park-wide activities, not specifically to amphitheater rentals, and specifically using the south lawn. Second, regarding the rate we used in our park application, we used the amphitheater facility rate because we believed and still understand that performances held inside a designated city facility fall under the facility rental exemption in the special event ordinance. That was the basis for our application, not an attempt to use an outdated rate. We are incredibly grateful for the park tax solution being proposed tonight. It provides essential support for this year's event, and we sincerely thank staff and council for working with us on finding a solution. Looking forward, we welcome the opportunity to collaborate with staff and council on clarifying how the amphitheater is categorized in the fee schedule and how off-season events are handled. We believe a clear policy will benefit everyone, the city, community organizers, and the families who enjoy these programs. Staff has already reached out to us to provide comparable rental facilities throughout Utah County, which we have done so in order to say this is what other facilities that were built the same time, that have the same amenities, this is what they are charging, in order to give some clarification on what other venues charge for off-season rentals. But anyway, we thank you again for your time, and of course for supporting Harrington Center for the Arts and the arts, especially in American Fork at large. So,
Thank you. All right, now we'll ask Mr. Royce Shelley.
My name's Royce Shelley. I wanted to speak concerning the resolution of the American Fork City Council addressing shareholder discount agreements and long-term rental agreements. I read through the resolution and had lots of questions. I need to thank you all for finding answers to those questions for me, and especially Councilwoman Carroll. The email that she sent me with the city administrator's comments calmed my troubled heart, and I appreciate that a great deal. I sincerely appreciate the commitment to honor the 2007 agreement, and thank you for that. The details are really sketchy at the present time, as I think you are painfully aware also. What does it mean to honor that agreement? And if I talk to different council people, it's not a consistent consensus. I would love to see exactly where we're headed on it. I sincerely appreciate the information provided in the council work session, last Tuesday. That has given me clarity on where the city is going with non-shareholders, and would just encourage the council, the irrigation board, whoever needs to be involved, to try and put some details to the shareholder part of it as soon as possible. And I realize this is also a very busy time, and this is a huge project, so I understand also why it's taking a while to get some details. But thank you so much for listening, for responding, for providing information. It has been truly helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Royce. All right, Karen McCoy.
Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm Karen McCoy. As you know, I can't keep my mouth shut. I just wanted to take the time to thank you, especially Councilman Hawley, Councilman Hunter, I don't know his title, City Manager Bunker, and Officer Archuleta, but I don't think he's here. Anyway, for taking the time yesterday to meet with me about the TNBR program that I truly hope we can try to implement in the city. I think it will be very beneficial, not only to the animals, but to the cost to the city of all the strays going down to New Boss. I'm in it for the compassion, you guys are in it for the money. Just saying. Maybe both, I know, but you know what I'm saying. I didn't know, we had another resident that was here in support of it. There's a Utah County Feral Cat Facebook group that was shocked that maybe we might do this. Councilman Doral, I can't remember how to say his last name, Keniston from Woodland Hills joined us yesterday. He has been doing TNBR down in Woodland Hills. He loves the program, and I think he gave you some good insight on what he has done, and he's only been doing it for a year. I was joined by someone from Best Friends named Kate. I've never met her before, but I think she would be willing to work with you as far as getting information, and I really hope we can do this. I have now become a trap post, so I have traps at my home that I can loan out and help people trap, but they have to have a plan, they have to have an appointment, and it is only to TNBR them. It is not to take them to the shelter to have them killed, because we want to get away from that. Update in October, Utah County is the only 2 shelters that are no-kill now. Last year it was 4 shelters, now we are the only ones left. So I think it's imperative that we address the problem, and if you guys can step up and hopefully this rolls over into other cities and catches on, I think it will benefit not only the kitties, the puppies, the humans that take care of them, but your bottom line in the long run. And I just wanted to tell you thank you for listening to me. I'll be back. Have a great night. Yes, it is.
Thank you, Karen. All right, is there anybody else who would like to make public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none? Oh, yeah, please come forward.
I'm Lauren Libbert. I live over on 700 North and 200 East. This is, I didn't have a written statement to read off, but this is in regards to the roundabout, proposed roundabout, and how much that would impact our family. We've been in American Fork for a little over 20 years. We've been in that home for 19 years. It would add traffic. It would take away my kids' playground. It would take away basically our yard, because we have no backyard, we have no side yard. Our front yard, side yard is that corner. And we've worked really hard to pay off our home. We feel that we have been put in a position where we don't feel that we've been listened to. We don't feel that we've been properly, the monetary point of it was almost a slap in the face for what it would take away from us. We would lose all street parking. We would lose, like I said, the playground, 2 big trees, and for what? The biggest impact I can see is more traffic on that road, and millions of dollars spent to do that. for not much gain when you could just put a three-way stop and eliminate 75% of the traffic. I'm not the only one. There's two other families that that would be impacted by this. But just a huge impact on our family, on what we've worked hard to pay for. And we've loved American Fork City for years, and don't want that to change. We don't want to not like living in our home, and that would completely change the whole layout of our home, the whole visual perspective of our home, the feel of our home. My wife loves our home. It was built in 1894. She fell in love with it. That and the big tree in the front yard from the moment she saw the home. And it would take away huge amounts of curb appeal, and it would just take away a lot of beauty, things that we've worked hard for. So I would like to say I'm opposed to that roundabout. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment period, and we'll move on to item number 3. That is a report by our city administrator. David?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one thing to report on, and that's last Saturday, the police department had what's called Shop with a Cop, and they had about a dozen children who were in need of some assistance for Christmas come and have an opportunity to go with a police officer and go to Walmart to spend money to find presents for them and their families. And it is so fulfilling to see how much joy these kids had as they were able to do that, and to watch them think about, who would I, is there a brother or a sister, or my mom needs a present? I mean, these kids really thought about it hard, and it was just wonderful. And I just want to thank our police department for being willing, on a day like, many of them had their day off right then, and they still came and volunteered to do Shop with a Cop and help these children do that. And it was just neat, and that helps make American Fork what it is. So thanks to our police department for that. That's all I have.
Thank you, David. Okay, we'll now move on to council reports. I'll start with Councilmember Hunter.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I love that we heard the sirens go off and everyone was asking, and I thought, I guarantee that's what that was Saturday morning. So I've been a part of that, and appreciate Chief Paul putting that together and his team. But that's the one thing that you mentioned, David, that I remember from having gone on that was it was surprising to me how many of the kids were actually not shopping for themselves. It was most important for them to be chasing, a present for mom or a present for dad or my little brother or sister or something like that. And you almost had to encourage them, look, this is for you too. This isn't just for you. And anyway, it just touches your heart, and it's just one of those things that I love about our community. And I actually had written down holiday events as being one of them, and I just the different things that we're doing, Spencer and Summerson and their stuff they're doing is just an amazing event. And of course the lights in our diet, we had the opportunity to take the family and go through that, and of course Robinson Park and meeting with Santa, and it's just that to me is what really solidifies who we are as a community, and it's an opportunity to be out and about with our neighbors and friends and families, and creating those memories. It wasn't that many years ago that we were all cooped up and trying to figure out how we were going to live life, behind a mask and on the backside of a screen, and we couldn't talk to each other. And it just, when we get these opportunities to be with people, I love it. It really, I don't know, it's why I love living here. I do want to mention and thank Karen. It's been fun as we've worked through this process with the best friends and And we made it pretty clear early on that our conversation wasn't about who's right or who's wrong. It's like, how can we create something that is a benefit to the community? And it's been really, really rewarding. I didn't realize that we were going to have, I didn't hear his name, but the Woodland Hills council member that came just on his own, he just came and showed up and shared his example and his experience over the last year. And I think all of us were stunned when he just says, oh yeah, in 3 months-ish, that was the number he threw out. He had seen significant changes. And I thought, well, crap, give us a year and we'll all be elated, right? So I just think there's an opportunity, and will it solve everything? I'm certain it won't. But if it solves and fixes some of these, it's just one more, arrow in the quiver, so to speak, that allows us to really make a difference. And I've learned a ton about tipping the ears, and so then you know that, hey, that is an animal that has been neutered or vaccinated and returned, and microchip. That's another thing that we learned yesterday. They're microchipping every single one of those animals in that process. And so anyway, maybe I'm talking too much about it, but it's been a really cool and rewarding process to go through and just find solutions for some of it, right? It probably won't fix it all, but it fixes some of it, and we'll find that, if it's similar to what we've heard from the others, that it'll make a significant difference, and I'm excited to have been a part of it. And I'll just want to close, I guess, my comments and just say thanks to David. I've been bugging him a little bit. I know we've had a lot of, in probably the last little while, between irrigation and council and trying to pull, information for different things. I think I've been a little more annoying, and staff works so dang hard, and I just want to acknowledge that. I hear Lauren just mentioning about, their home and how it could be impacted with these changes, and those are real things, right? And taking that into account, but also taking into account, okay, how do we move traffic through the town? And I don't know. I just want to say thank you to you, David. You've done a ton of work, and not always do we see eye to eye, and I appreciate the working relationship we have, and hopefully we can continue to do that, and it's been fun to see some of these things take place, like trap, neuter, vaccinate, and return, and the best friends groups, and the irrigation conversations, and there's just so many of them, and you can see the agenda, and so I should probably shut up so we can get to it, but that's all I have. Thanks, man.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Hawley.
I don't have much. I just want to say thank you to Karen as well. I appreciate whenever we have individuals in our community who come up with ideas and really drive agendas and bring a vision, and because a lot of times it's easy to just maybe complain or get frustrated about it, but when we see people who really are driving things, getting people together. So I just really appreciate, Karen, all you're doing to help solve this problem in our city. Even if it sounds like a small problem, when we get more and more people involved with these types of things, it just makes everybody's lives better and easier. And then I just want to say thank you to the different committees or commissions that I sit on. We all had our little get-togethers last week, our little Christmas get-togethers, and so I just want to say thank you to everybody who's on the Cemetery Committee, Historic Preservation Commission, and the Beautification Committee for all they do throughout the year to, once again, kind of like Karen, just helping out the city, volunteering to drive small and big initiatives. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember John.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be real quick. I, too, am grateful for the opportunity to get to work with David. I mean, I think if people would see us disagreeing, they might think we were hurting each other, but that's not true. We're both pretty strong personalities, and I'm grateful for him being able to get his point across and learn from him. And we've come a long ways, and I'll just echo Ryan in that we've been here 23 years, almost 24 years, and it's a great place. I wouldn't want to raise my family anywhere else. And at our last work session, we had a presentation by the Cemetery Committee, and I'd always considered Southern Utah home. I'm a Southern Utah boy, and I'm from Wayne County, and that was where home was. And the comment was made about the cemetery, and I thought, I've got my plot up there, and it really hit me no, this is home. I'm from southern Utah now. It's not home. American Fork is home, and that's where I'm going to end up, is right up there on the hill. And boy, it really hit me kind of hard. And sorry for this, but it's a great place to live. Mayor, and along those lines, I got an opportunity for one of my council assignments on North Point Special Service District, down at the transfer station, to attend a conference in Ohio and on garbage, because I'm just barely learning it. And I got to tour a recycling facility, and I got to see all the new technology and the things that could help us do a better job. And I am grateful that as a community we signed on to recycling years ago. I've got my recycle can, and grateful for the things that we do. We recycle mattresses. That's in Ohio, they put them in a landfill. We recycle mattresses, and I won't ask you to guess, but I'll tell you, we had over 10,000 mattresses go through the transfer station last year. And they get hauled to Salt Lake, and they cut them apart, and they recycle the metal out of them, and they grind up the foam, and that's just one little piece of the puzzle. And I think we're doing a good job of trying to leave this world a better place when we leave than when we found it. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Carroll.
Thanks, Mayor. I think we have a really long meeting tonight. I think I will forego any council report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Taylor?
I'll do the same, Mayor.
All right, well, I'll take your time for the mayor's report then, thanks. No, it just occurred to me as we're sitting here tonight, as part of my report, how many things municipal government touches the lives of people. The national headlines might draw our attention a lot, but here tonight we've talked about cats, we've talked about water, we've talked about arts, we talked about Santa Claus a little bit. We're going to talk sewer tonight. We're going to talk about development. We've talked about transportation and roads, irrigation, water, and later on the agenda, we're actually going to begin a process of putting in a brand new well on the other side of town. And just, that is a lot. That's just one meeting, but it just, I'm humbled by the fact of how we come together, how we serve our residents. These are the people that we see at the grocery store. We get to face them here, and local government is a very important aspect. And I knew it, but tonight it just kind of gave me a renewed sense of that, because usually these chambers are not very full. And so, this time of year for the mayor, there's a lot of holiday events. You get invited to a lot of things, so I had to kind of carefully choose, because I could probably choose something almost every night. But I did attend Shop with the Cop, heartwarming, as it's been said. Was able to bring Santa down to the park and have a moment with some kids, and we all flipped a switch, and it came on, and it just sets a tone on our main street. Been through the holiday or Christmas in color at Marion Art Dye Park. Seniors, they had a big luncheon Saturday. I had to guess maybe 250 of our seniors were there, and they were served by the honor students of the high school, and had a great entertainment and a lot of donated prize raffles. There's just a lot of good things happening in and around the holidays. Not forget, next week I have Tabitha's Way. We get to go and help and serve food there for a night. I just see so much good. And I don't want it to, we see everything, but it's nice to be reminded sometimes of just the good that's happening. And it's just a wonderful privilege to be able to see it, participate in it, and it's part of my city. So that is the mayor's report. Thank you for your time and giving it up. So we'll now move on to our common consent agenda, consisting of those 6 items that are before us. Is there any questions, notes, changes on the minutes? Gentlemen? Is there any questions by the council?
Mayor, I'd move approval of the common consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Hunter. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 1 is a review and action on a resolution authorizing the issuance of lease revenue bonds by the local building authority of the city. I'm going to call Matt. Matt, will you come up? I don't know if Anna prepped you, but I'm going to call you on the spot. And if you're looking just to support Matt, or if you want to go for it. Matt, if you just kind of give us just kind of an overview of what this is for the public record. I think we know, but I think it's better to explain by you.
No, happy to, Mayor. Thank you. And Council, thank you for having me tonight. It's good to see everybody again. Also want to note that the city's bond counsel, Brandon Johnson, is here. Brandon wrote the resolution and can also answer any questions through the legal lens. But just want to commend the city going through this process. It's a very transparent process for the issuance of lease revenue bonds. We met a few weeks ago for the initial resolution, and so this would be the final action the council takes. And so this is a resolution that, Mayor, you said it perfectly, that creates a perimeter on these bonds. And the council creates, it's called a parameters resolution. I wish we called it a perimeter resolution for that exact reason. So it sets forth the maximum amount that the city could issue, the maximum interest rate, the maximum term of the bonds, and has other delegating authorities given to your city manager and to Anna to essentially ensure that the final terms of the bonds fit within the perimeter that the council has established. So from here, there is a little bit of logistics because the city's issuing lease revenue bonds, and there's also a building authority component to it, as you're aware. And I may also, Mayor, if it is okay, maybe invite Brandon up as well, and he can guide through that process if that's helpful.
Absolutely.
But it is a statutory process, and the resolution has to be adopted by the council and the building authority, and just boxes to check. So, but in essence, this, as I mentioned, would be the final action taken by the council, and from this standpoint, we would continue in the bonding process. We've been strategic in setting the calendar. We actually met with an analyst today to speak to the city's credit, and I just want to commend your city manager and your finance director. Just got, during that meeting, some glowing remarks from this third-party rating analyst, and just spoke to the city's strengths. And the council is also to be commended for your governance. So that's all wrapped into this credit rating process. But happy to answer any questions from that standpoint, but maybe helpful to have Brandon walk through the procedures at this point. Would that be appropriate?
Okay.
I might have a question. I'm not quite sure. I think it's not about the local building authority. It's more just about, once we pass this parameters resolution, what are the steps that it takes to then go to bond market?
Sure. One of those steps was taken today in meeting with our credit rating analyst. So they're essentially assessing a credit score to the city. And the higher your credit score or credit rating, the lower your borrowing cost. And again, the city, all indications is that's going to come out very well for the city. And you'll enjoy one of the lowest borrowing costs in the state. It takes a little time to actually get that credit score, credit rating back, and we expect that to come at the end of next week. And so with that in place, there's a process that we've been undertaking with David and Anna, and it's the drafting of a prospectus document that Brandon takes charge on. It's a legal document. It's provided to investors, and they make their investment decision based on the information within that document, which speaks to the city. It speaks to the legal creation of the bonds themselves. It speaks to the term. It speaks to what investors are buying. And so when you issue bonds, it's very similar to an IPO of stock by a corporation. And so you are at the front lines of the capital markets when you're doing so. So we finalize that document that's provided to investors. That will take place right after New Year's. And then we're planning on selling bonds January 14th. And that is a bid process where investors will bid on your bonds. and we'll award it to the lowest interest rate bidder. And on that day, the city's interest rate will be locked in. And there's a couple-week period where basically you paper the transaction, the closing documents are drafted. Again, Brandon takes the labor and ore on that as your bond counsel. And then funds are delivered by that winning bidder. And the current date for that would be February 5th. And those funds are delivered, and you're essentially closed on the financing, and those funds can then be spent towards the project.
Do we have to know the final cost of the project before then the bonds are sold?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
That is part of it, yes. So the project absolutely will only bond for the amount needed for the project.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have one, and I think it's probably, we'll have that amount ready by the first week in January to know what we'll need of that 50 million.
Yeah, so it'll be based on an estimate on the construction of the project. We won't have plans or documents or actual bids of contractors by then, but we will have basically the structure of what that would cost. And so we would then define exactly what that would be. So it can be up to the 50 million. It can't be over that, but it can be under. We can always go lower, but we just can't go higher.
Right. So, but my understanding, forgive me, we're being issued those dollars by February 5th.
Currently calendared, that
Right.
could change. But.
So without any kind of plan, just the plan of what we see happening, we're comfortable going after those dollars, and then what we map and we design by virtue of the dollars we were able to get, or how does that work? It just seems a little backwards to me. So
Yeah, without having a set of plans to bid or a document from a contractor saying this is what I would build it for, right? Yeah, that is the case, is that we would have to stay within the parameters of the bond document, right? We wouldn't be able to go any higher than that. We can always go lower, we just can't go higher. So if the project were to come in higher, we would have to cut something from the project.
And what would we do if we came in lower?
And we didn't need all that. We didn't need the full bond amount. Can you walk them through that portion?
Sure. So it does happen, but it happens very rarely when you have excess funds. Probably, as we're all aware, projects have generally come in more expensive than anticipated. So usually the situation is we don't have enough funds for the project. And in that case, as David mentioned, it's a value engineering, it's other processes to go through. But excess funds can actually go towards paying the debt service on the bonds. And so in lieu of making those transfers from the general fund, it would just come from the proceeds.
I guess I have then a question kind of following along with Clark's is, so why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing bonding before we have the project? Maybe that would be my first question. I think it was kind of answered, because what do we do with if we have saved money? Because if we bond for $40 million or $50 million, we sell $50 million and it's only $30 million, then we have $20 million. And I'm assuming there's going to be interest paid on that we didn't need. So that kind of goes to Councilman Taylor's point, is that if we come up with a plan and it's $40 million, it'd be better to bond for $40 million maybe a year from now. I don't know, but maybe if someone could help me with that.
Yeah, it's always difficult to go out to bid on a project when you don't have the money, right? So we do need the bond, we do need the proceeds to actually fund the project. And so, yeah, this is a very typical process that cities actually go through, is bonding and then going out to bid and then value engineering and making sure that we're within those costs. And so, we're going to try to bond for exactly the dollars that we need and no more. But we definitely know we will not exceed the parameters of the bond.
I mean, I think for me, this is why I asked the question, is because I don't have enough information to feel like I know the 50 million bucket. I don't know what that's based off of or what we're really building. And I understand that this is a parameter, but it feels like I don't have quite enough. And there's a little bit of stuff on the financial side that I would like as well to know a little bit more of, understanding.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and back to Councilmember Hawley as well. I just, if we were given $43.5 million, the chances with value engineering and everything else, we're going to get what we wanted for that $43.5 million. I mean, we're never going to come in under that. We're going to design up to that and do that. That seems backwards to me. I know shopping early in the year for bond dollars, better interest rates and everything like that, it's just a little difficult to I don't know, seems difficult, but I can be helped to understand for the rate and that we get, obviously. Yeah, I don't know, I just have a little bit of a problem with that. I have a lot of a problem with that, but I can.
And when we say typical, just tell us the process. You've worked with multiple cities or municipalities for different kinds of structures, building, bonding.
You bet. So the process on these larger projects, it differs city to city. If you're working with engineers and other entities to help create a budget for a project, I certainly have seen projects get bonded for before final bids are in for the project. Again, we've been in this inflationary period where there's always contingencies built into it. But the timing of bonding and the timing of determining the cost of the project are usually pretty close. And so I think the timing driving this was a balance of feeling reasonably comfortable with where costs might come in by the time we do go out to market in mid-January, but also trying to take advantage of historical trends in the marketplace where rates generally do fall lower in the month of January. So that was part of the strategy, trying to time this. Certainly, timing can be changed, to the best advantage of the city. But I would say that the process does differ. Some have issued a few tranches of bonds. Some have issued just a piece to get going and then come back 6-12 months later to issue completion bonds. The parameters resolution doesn't prevent you from doing those types of formats. And there's no statutory end date for a parameters resolution. Usually we say if bonds aren't issued within a year, then we'd come back as a courtesy to your residents to just let them know you're moving forward. But projects change, costs change. It can be challenging. But again, I think that was one of the drivers for trying to hit the January market, is based on historical trends and reasonable comfort on that you land close to what you want for.
Well, and I mean, I kind of going to go along with what both Councilmember Carroll said and what Mr. Shelley said too, is that I would like to maybe have a better understanding of the project overall as well. If we're just going to go, because $50 million is a lot of money. It is a lot of money for a city building, and that's something that I'm particularly, I think about a lot, is public buildings and how expensive they are and how they tend to go over cost, and do they do more than what they needed for the city for what. So I'm not against like a public works building and updating the facility, but without a solid understanding of the project, $50 million is a lot of money. And to make sure that we are staying within what is needed for a public building, which is versus what's nice to have, and making sure that we're being responsible to the residents of our city. So anyway.
Absolutely.
Matt, will you just, so if we pass a $50 million parameter resolution, you're saying that if we see an immediate need, maybe there's some more information that needs to come forward so we can see kind of maybe if it's a phased in approach, or that just opens the door for us to, if we if we have a mindset that maybe is not sure, but we want to capture the market now, why it's hot, that we could go into it strategically and just do a certain amount and go back to it under the same resolution, and just issue them at the time, because we just set the bonds, correct?
Yes, you can do that, and again, we have the attorney here that can prevent me from practicing law without a license. But resolutions can be changed, certainly on the spot, based on however the council desires. We can have the resolution state that bonds can be issued in one or more series, and so you can issue a smaller piece up front, capture, say, the January market, if that is the goal, and then come back. I will say that multiple transactions does add transaction costs, which, there are some efficiencies to try to get it done in one fell swoop. But certainly based on, discussions with David, the calendar, the bonding calendar is not set in stone. And so the getting before the council tonight was to try to get through that statutory process to enable us to get out to the market as soon as practicable. But there's certainly flexibility in that.
Mayor, if I could, I guess the question for David is part of this, I know we've got a $50 million, usually you've got, you pick an architectural engineering firm, and then you pick a contractor, and then you move forward with the design at that point when you get your RFPs out for that group of people. Are we doing this way so that we roll everything, the architect, engineering, everything into the bond, rather than pull that money out initially, like general funds, and then turn around and get to a point where we now know exactly what the 50, 40, whatever the amount's going to buy us? Because we're not, is that one of the reasons we're doing this, so we can roll everything into the bond totally, rather
Yes.
than try and pull it out of reserves or something else?
Yeah, by having the financing available, then the city's not fronting that initially.
We're not fronting the initial money for that.
And that includes architects, engineers, all the design, so yeah.
I mean, that's usually 10% or so, I mean, that initial chunk is a pretty significant chunk to not do with the bond. So I think I understand that portion, why so we can roll it all in.
Sure. And I think the parameters resolution itself, I think, that makes sense to me. I get it. I think that we haven't really discussed the project itself to know what it is that, and I honestly think it sounds like you might even be close enough that you could get information to us pretty quickly. I mean,
So,
I could
just to clarify a little bit, we did have a concept plan drawn, and so this is based on cost per square footage of the concept plan.
That's what I want to know.
Yes, so we did do some
Yeah.
initial concept design. We didn't do formal design as far as
Yes.
architecture.
Yeah.
But the concept plan was done, and so we're basing it on square footage of build-out. And so again, this is a maximum amount. I'm fairly certain it'll come in under closer to 40 million.
Okay.
Again, we still need design done and engineering and all of that, but the cost for this bond includes, like Councilmember John said, for the cost of the bond, FF&E, it's design, it's land, it's everything.
Yeah.
So we have all those proceeds to fund the entire project, so we don't have to come back again and add more more bonding costs to this project. So this is the most efficient and cost-effective way to proceed.
Absolutely agree. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, so to issue multiples to do one amount and then do another, we've got that cost associated with the bonding.
Right.
Is that fairly significant? I mean, is that?
It adds up, for sure, yeah. You have multiple consultants and legal and underwriting, so there's quite a bit of bond costs associated, depending on the amount of bonds issued.
Mayor, if I could, I hesitate to say too much just because I don't know anything more than anyone else, but I'm a part of this, so I want to make that clear. But the nature of my day job allows me to understand this process a little bit, and maybe I'll use the fire station as an example. That was a project that was awarded to the firm that I currently work for. That was prior to me being on the council. I wasn't on the council. I want to make that clear. It came up in the deal, but that process is one that we've learned from, I think, as well. Ernie, Councilmember John mentioned the idea of what could be rolled into that. The solicitation that will come from our Public Works Department and the procurement of the work can be done in any way. It could be a design-build contract, it could be a CMGC contract, it can be a hard bid, just let everybody in the world that has a GC B100 license come out and bid it. There's obviously pros and cons to all of that. One of the things that I think we learned with the fire station project is the ability to get, there's a lot of value in having a CMGC contract where you can keep, when you have two contracts with an architect, and I don't even know if that's the plan, so I should be careful what I'm saying, but I'm just saying it gives us options. And so in the CMGC world, you have the ability to hold an architect's feet to the fire in target value design, or whether it's, you just say, even if we have a balloon umbrella saying it's 50 million, we certainly aren't, I won't let, whether our firm goes after it or not, I obviously would abstain, but I'm just saying my role would, I don't know, I just have that experience to be able to say, we're not going to allow design to just turn it into a museum just for the sake of we have $50 million to spend, let's do it. That's not how it's done. I trust staff that way. We actually had, and I keep going back to the fire station, we had an experience where we did that, and we were able to go in and say, because the general contractor's contract is not with the design. And so having a contractor who can then go in and say, hey, there's other ways to design this, and maybe the best thing is to spend another $50,000 in design and redesign it, but if it saves us $500,000 in construction costs, that's the best thing that we could do, right? Those are good dollars. What you find, or at least in my opinion, is if we don't have the monies already allocated, you're going to have a hard time having the market really have a whole lot of, empathy and real drive to go after this project, especially if the council's going, well, I'm not even sure if we can go, is it a $20 million job or is it a $50 million job? And so we need that information, but I think, at any rate, I'm just saying, I think this is not an out-of-the-box idea. The process is very common to do this, but we're a long ways from being in a position where we're going to spend $50 million on a building. And so, anyway, I don't know if I've over-talked. We haven't even talked about this, so keep in mind.
I'm glad you brought up the fire station project, Station 5-2. The city did a similar process in that project. We went out for bond. In that case, it was a GO bond, and so a little different process, but the city secured financing first, and then we constructed the fire station. Now, unfortunately for that project, it happened during COVID, and prices just escalated really, really fast. But yeah, if the city has the financing available, and then we go out to get these architects and engineers and general contractors, and they know that that project is imminent and that we have the financing, they really do want the project, and they work really hard to get the project. And so it really gives an advantage to the city.
Hi, I'm Brandon Johnson from Farnsworth Johnson. We're serving as bond counsel, as Matt mentioned. Just on the resolution itself, and it's been talked about, but the resolution doesn't obligate the city in any way to issue the bonds or issue the bonds in a certain amount. What it does is it grants permission or authority to the city to move forward with the bond process, both the city and the building authority. But at any point, the city can either pull back and say, we're only going to issue X amount, or if for some reason you decide we're not going to issue the bonds at all. This isn't obligating the city to do anything as far as issuing the bonds or in any certain amount.
But this is the only time the council would vote on it?
It is, yeah,
okay,
for that,
okay.
yeah. And one of the reasons we have the parameter, and it's a little bit larger, is after this part of the transparency process, if the council approves the bond, a notice will be posted or on the state notice public website a notice of bonds to be issued, and it will set forth the parameters of 50 million and then the other parameters. And it notifies the public that that's been approved, and if they have any questions or any concerns about it, they can come to the city. But the city can't issue bonds in excess of that notice without doing that, and it's a 30-day notice period, without doing that 30-day notice period again. And so we typically set that parameters high and then even a little bit higher so that we don't have to come back and go through this whole process again. One of the other advantages of approving, even though it seems premature, may seem premature, of approving the resolution now is it puts the city in the position of being able to take advantage of both favorable market conditions in the bond market and then also favorable conditions with contractors and sometimes we've seen that, you know, if a large component of the building will have steel, sometimes it's advantageous to purchase steel in advance. And so having that ability to issue bonds, not at any moment, but fairly quickly can be advantageous. I liken it to going into a car dealership where you're going to buy a car. And if you go in needing financing or something, you're kind of at a disadvantage already with the dealership. But if you go in with knowing that you have the cash, that you can just pay cash for whatever car you want, on the spot, you're in a better advantage when it comes to buying the car. And so this puts the city in that position where you have the ability to, like I said, to take advantage of market conditions and construction conditions. But you also have the ability to, if we get to January and it just doesn't make sense, you say, you know what, we're going to wait until April or March or July. But it puts the city in the position of being able to move when it makes most sense.
Is there a difference in interest rate? I mean, after going after $5 million for to do the design, architect, engineering work versus the 50, does that 50 give us an advantage in terms of getting a better rate because it's a chunk rather than in pieces? I think I understand that every time we bond, if we do it in pieces, then we've got you guys' cost every time. So, I mean, I understand that adds up. So I get that, but overall, are we going to get a better rate or is it going to be about the same?
That is a great question, and I wish I could answer it with exact data. Generally, a larger bond in the marketplace does enjoy some economies of scale because you get some purchasers that like larger, we call them block sizes, so a larger bond can get lower interest rates. That's not always true. It's always based on where the market is.
Right.
If the city did want to split the bond in a couple pieces, again, you could duplicate some transaction costs, but a year from now, interest rates may be a lot lower. And so we look back and say, well, look what geniuses we were. They could also be higher, right?
Right.
So,
Okay, I see.
If that makes sense, but no, I think you're thinking about absolutely the right things, and happy to answer any other questions you have. I wish I could tell you where the market is going.
No crystal ball.
I always say, we know rates will go up, we know they'll go down, we just don't know when or by how much.
I was just reading today about the situation up in Heber Valley with the church building a temple there. They said the waiting period was a year, was it 12 months? Waiting period would cost an additional $11.4 million. So I get the situation with time. I understand all that with this, but it's just like, wow, this is here. And we're talking about if we get to January, we're in January. We're literally 2 weeks away, not counting Christmas, and we're in January. This time in January, we will be issuing bonds and getting that. So we have very little time. I mean, if we vote on this and it's a yay, then we're, giddy up. And, that was my apprehension, is that, and maybe we're not supposed to see any concept, and we just did what we could so that we could get some things, but I have zero clue about this. So other than, I knew that's where the spot was. But
I agree. I would have liked to have seen the concept plan ahead of time. Like, if we're gonna be voting on something like this, we need to see some kind of concept plan. I mean, I didn't even know there was a concept plan, and so not only to not know about it, but to not see it is not helpful for our making decisions, and that by itself almost makes me want to say no until I see the concept plan, to be honest.
Oh, sorry.
So, no, that's all. I just,
Keep doing that. I must have a lot to say today.
You know what, does anybody have additional questions for Matt? Because I can have you sit down and get comfortable.
Happy to-
Unless there's
happy to
questions,
answer.
we can, all right, let's talk
But
about it.
I don't want to hold this up. I can see all of that. I don't even want to suggest this, but I'm happy to come back even, like, if we feel like we have the information already to just give us a basic understanding, I'm happy to come back even like next week or something, if that's what you want to do. I don't have a problem with it. I just feel like my responsibility is to making sure I understand some of the financial implications of this and how all the pieces fit together. Because once we issue the bond, we're obligated for the bond. So I want to make sure I understand all of it before I vote yes, unless there's another way that that the council then gets involved between now and then. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So what you're suggesting is, you would be fine approving the resolution for the parameters, but not the go-ahead to go to the market.
Without
Right,
information.
without more information.
Yeah, that's me personally.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the parameter is not the part that we're obligated.
Correct.
But this is the only point at which the council gets involved until we get through the bond market.
but to Councilmember Taylor's point is, like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, we're in January, Christmas holidays are coming up, so regardless, we would have to see something in the next week or so.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you, is that we'd have to see something next week.
Yeah, and I'm happy to do that. I mean, I genuinely think we need a new public works building. I mean, I've said jokingly, but not jokingly, I have people in the basement with water dripping on their heads, like, it's embarrassing. We need to get it done. I just feel like I need to do my part of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna, David, if there's, as far as the rendition and just that square footage, is there anything that maybe you could just bring us closer? Because here's where it's at. I mean, we've been talking about this, we even acquired property for it. We've seen it coming, but maybe now it just feels a little bit bigger than what we had anticipated. It's like, we're giving this a blank check to say, you know, let's do it. But I know how we operate. We're not that kind of, I mean, we're going to make sure these are spent wisely, practically. We're not building Taj Mahal, things like that. So we put a lot of trust in the processes and the people. Is there something that we're missing as far as that so that we could just come to terms with it a little bit better? I fully expected that we were going to all see the building and we were going to say this, and the council would craft that along the way. So we're setting a parameter resolution. Are we ahead of our skis a little bit on it? I mean, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we can do that either way. And I don't know if the council would be open to moving ahead with the parameters resolution, approving that, having a work session next week. We present, again, it's very conceptual. We don't have architectural renderings or drawings or engineering done. But we can show you why the costs are what we anticipate they are. And, you know, we've called around to find out what other cities are paying for similar buildings. You know, other communities have built public works facilities, and we've tried to say, okay, how much a square foot are you paying for those buildings? So that we have a good idea on, I mean, it's not a guarantee that we're going to get it at that price, but at least we have an idea of what those costs are going to be, and that's what it's based on.
Okay.
So,
That's good
Councilmember Hunter and I were involved with the bond on Station 5-2 and purchasing property for Station 5-3. Before we were on the council, neither one of us on the council, but we were heavily involved, and I think it was almost this same, other than it was a GO bond, but we didn't have a station design, but we knew we needed, we were moving forward, and we put the bond first, and then we went after the pieces of the puzzle after that. And we came out with what we need. Yes, the cost really escalated because of COVID, but when we went after that bond, I think it's kind of like now, we babysat that one all the way through and worked hard, and then it got, the staff, and I don't know how involved the council was at that point, but I know staff was really involved in trying to keep costs down. So is there a process that if we did pass this tonight, then how can we move forward so we know what we're moving forward with? And I agree with Councilman Carroll. We just purchased the last piece of property just a few weeks ago. So we just tied that up. So this is real similar to Station 5-2. That's what it feels like to me, that we could move forward, but then how do we get a vision of what we're moving forward with? Does that make sense?
I don't think we do. I mean, honestly, we don't.
Okay.
I mean, right, we're gonna see a concept that could be completely different than that when the time comes.
Yep.
We're trying to get all of our stuff together so that we can take advantage, looking out for the taxpayer and saying, okay, this is the very best rate we are going to get if we go shopping for bonds now in the first month of the year. And then we're going to be really scrupulous, and I don't want this to come off like I don't trust you, because I do. I'm bugged that we don't know anything about it until the night. And we've talked about it. I get it, buying the property and stuff like that. But we're putting things in place, and then I just feel like it could be just like Station 5-2. And we've got a gem of a building in Station 5-2.
But not a Taj Mahal. I mean,
no, it's not a Taj Mahal.
What we needed, but
you know, I think, yeah, I mean, we just ride it. Obviously, we want to take advantage. We clearly need this building. I was working in the Public Works building when I was 15, so like 15 years ago. But, I mean, that beast was outdated 5 years after we got in there. So there's clearly a need. So, I mean, if this is the best opportunity, I don't think the transaction fees are worth going back multiple times. If we're going to be in for this, we're going to be in for this, and go. I guess I just would have liked a little bit of a heads up. And I think, you know, my record, as many years as I've been here, would show I don't get in the business that I don't need to be here. I don't try to do anyone else's job. It would have been nice to have just a little bit more information and understanding. I get taking advantage of the rates and
the
that,
block
so,
that we're going after. I get that too.
Mayor, can I? We've been talking about this, and a suggestion to maybe make the council more comfortable, but allow us to move forward with this process, and in particular to start the notice and the contest period, the 30-day contest period. If you wanted to, you could approve the resolution as is tonight, and then the notice would go out probably tomorrow with the parameters are there, with the 50 million and the maximum interest rate. But make the motion with the caveat caveat that the final principal amount, or at least the final maximum principal amount, has to be approved by the council before the bonds are sold. And so, you know, if it's a month from now, council meeting in January, if there's more information and there's a better idea of, okay, the project we know won't exceed 45 million, then you could approve, regardless, even if it's 50 million, the council would have to approve that again before the bonds could actually be sold. But that approval wouldn't trigger a new contest period. That we would already have that done. And that's the way all bonds used to be issued years ago, and now but anyway, so that's a suggestion that, and like I said, maybe look at it and it's 42 million or not to exceed 42 million, but giving that kind of one more stamp of approval on at least the estimated or maximum principal amount would, so that's one suggestion that you could move forward.
I sincerely appreciate that. I think that's great. But honestly, are we going to know any different
Yes,
in
we're gonna
3
have-
weeks? Well, I would,
Even if we
really?
don't change our minds, even if it's the exact same, I feel like at least if I have a couple of questions which I haven't asked, I will ask later. But if I can get all of those ducks in a row, I will feel comfortable at least, feeling like I've done my due diligence, even if it is the $50 million.
Okay, so we're talking about the building, we're talking about how this is a lease revenue bond, and how we're gonna pay for it, and how, all of those things. You're gonna have everything that you need at that point. And an idea that, okay, we really do need, pick a number.
50 billion.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of think that I don't think I need that much time.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think there's enough, and Anna, you've obviously alluded to some of this stuff that I don't know what it is, but the studies and the things you talked about, David, going to different cities and things like that. Having that information, I think, would be valuable for us too. Just being able to say, oh yeah, so now we understand, we're talking about this many square feet, we're talking about, I don't know if there's other lands that need to be purchased or reimbursed or whatever all that includes. That'll help me come to a better understanding. I can do quick math based on our historical things that I can or can't share, whatever you want me to do. But I'm just saying, like, I think I would feel much more comfortable with that process that then allows us to then hone in on the number while also keeping the ball moving down the field in the 30-day interim window.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, I wasn't knocking that, I was saying, if we vote on it and it goes tonight, we're gonna get what we need. Or is there going to be that much new information that we can pour over the holiday and say, oh, yep, nope, this makes complete sense, so we don't need, rather than say, hey, boom, we're going tonight, we're gonna be scrupulous on the back end, making sure this is, that's all I was saying. I wasn't saying bag it, I was just saying, are we gonna get that much more?
I would ask that of staff, and so that we could know that. I'd love to know, I mean.
Some more details.
Just, yeah, some of the details that have obviously, that sounds like are there, but we
Yeah.
just need to understand a little better. And if, frankly, if we get to that point, and we are requiring it as part of the potential approval, it can be turned down, and it wouldn't be issued in the middle of January if that was the decision of us. And if we felt like, I'm a little leery of approving it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not, and I like that approach. I feel like we can keep the ball moving down the field and still have.
Get our 30-day comment period in, and is that?
So if it was approved today, the 30-day contest period would start tomorrow, and there is the 30-day contest period. And I said, the first council meeting in January, but if you feel like you don't have the information you need by then, it could be later in January or February.
Prior to issuing the bond.
Exactly, but it puts it gives the council the ability to get the information that you need, and then, like I said, it could be that you come back and say, yeah, 50 million is the maximum amount, or you could say, you know what, now that we have all the information, it's 42 million or something, but it gives you one more opportunity to approve that after you have the information. So yeah, I suggested in January, but it's whatever timeline you want. But this does allow us to at least keep the 30-day contest period and then that part of it moving forward.
Okay, I am happy to make a motion in that mind. I hope nobody feels like this is heavy-handed. That is not the intent at all.
It's your style, Stacy, you're very heavy-handed.
I completely trust staff. I just realize on the back end, I have residents asking me for why we're issuing bonds.
Yeah, right on, just like always tonight.
Yeah, so, that's where I'm coming from.
That's great.
I move that we adopt, and please help me with this if you feel like I need to word this differently, but I move to adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of lease revenue bonds by the local building authority of the city with the contingency that the final bond amount will be approved by the city council prior to the issuing of the bond.
Nailed it. Second.
Wow.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Carroll,
Nice.
second by Councilmember Hunter. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for.
Sorry, I apologize. I was just reminded, there was one whereas clause, I think, that said the city council had reviewed the plans, and this goes exactly to what you've been discussing. But I wanted to let you know, we've deleted that, so that's not part of the resolution that you're approving. So you're, yeah, you're not making that representation that you've reviewed the plans.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I have a motion and a second, and I'm going to call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
You know, I'm going to, I would say you've seen a little sausage up here being made, and it's not a small amount of money. I can tell you this, that I think that having that parameter, that's where I found such a safe spot. We had a parameter, and I know how we operate, and I know how staff will fight for $10, $100. And Taj Mahals are not something we built. And so I feel like nobody's been left in the dark, but I think there might be a perception that there has been. But really, it is just us trusting our staff because they've never let us down before. Why now? And we were going to be able to see this evolve, and I knew that we were going to have our hands in the construction process and how it was going to be built. And I know we had an expert in one of our council members, maybe two in this world. So I felt safe moving forward, and I just wanted to state that to the public because, and then we figure it out. So.
Mayor, I think the problem with the doubt was my attitude as we talked about this, but I think the nature in which we conduct business in the city by the same people that I'm talking to is evidenced by Matt talking about our credit rating and what we're able to get. So there's no lack of trust, maybe a little bit cheesed about communication, but there's no lack of trust with what goes on because of you know, you can see when Anna talks about these things and David talks about these things, the whole reason we have a great credit score and it's glowing is because we do watch every penny. We're in great financial shape in comparison to other cities around us. So I brought the dark cloud. You do what you're good at. And so that's on me tonight, so.
Well, I mean, just to kind of back up on both of what y'all said, I think it's important to, I think everybody knows this, and I'm a big person on trust but verify. And we can trust somebody 100%, but you still need to verify, because at the end of the day, it's the five of us. It's nobody else, none of the staff. And so, yeah, this is not to say we don't trust anybody, but it's our heads on the line with the residents. If we make a mistake, we are the ones who vote on stuff. It's not anybody else. And so and that's not to like be a cop-out and CYA or anything like that, but it is to understand that we have a moral responsibility, that we are the ones deciding on this bond, and it's not anybody else that we can't push it on to if we don't have the right information.
Right on.
Okay. All right, we're going to do something that I don't know if we've ever done. I don't think I've been a part of this, but we are going to, I need a motion to adjourn the American Fork City Council meeting, and then we'll move on to a different board assignment.
And convene the local building authority?
Yes.
Okay. I move that we adjourn as American Fork City Council and convene as the local building authority of American Fork.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember John, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter? Aye. Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to even get so technical as to state the time of day. It's 8:29. We are now...
We're all the way into number 2 there.
Yeah. We are now met as the local building authority of American Fork City, of American Fork. We have an agenda that has been posted and will follow as outlined. We will first begin with a public hearing and to receive input from the public with respect to the proposed issuance by the local building authority of the city of lease revenue bonds. Any person wishing to express his or her views of the issuance of these bonds in this facility, we'd ask you to come forward at this time. Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And I will now begin the building authority with the roll call. Board member Hunter.
Here.
Board member Holly.
Here.
Board member John.
Here.
Board member Carroll.
Here.
Board member Taylor.
Here.
Okay, item number 2 is a review and action on a resolution authorizing the issuance of lease revenue bonds by the authority. Is there anybody who would like to?
So do we need to do this in the same language that we did?
I don't think so, because this is the building authority.
Because we can't move for the city council. And we did in the last one to say the city council would have final say. So,
I don't think there would be an obligation for the building authority to
have that for the city council. So
Well,
we're okay just,
I'll just have our legal make sure he advises us in.
I mean, this is, we're creating new ground here, but I think it's, and Heather's right, the building authority can't move forward without the city council's approval, and so, which is why we're kind of doing this kind of, what seems a little silly to approve it twice. So yeah, I think the requirement that the city council approve again the principal amount would be sufficient, and you don't need, and that would also, you would avoid having to do these 2 meetings.
You know what? It's an easy meeting to have.
And you can do it
If you want to
either
check
way.
a box and make sure it's thorough, we can have this meeting too.
No, I'm, with the approval you have here, and then, because it's really, the additional approval is really for the city council's benefit, to feel comfortable, and so I think that's fine. From a legal standpoint, there's no need to have the building authority approve it twice as well, so this one approval would be sufficient for that.
Okay.
And we do it in multiple steps. We do it first as the building authority and then as the trustees, is that correct?
Well, you're technically the Board of Trustees of the Building Authority, so this will be your meeting is the Board of Trustees of the Building Authority, so you'll approve essentially the same resolution that you approved as a city council, now as a building authority. Other than you don't need the caveat this time that that the building authority approved the final principal amount, but the city council approval would be sufficient for that.
so I move that we adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of lease revenue bonds by the local building authority of the city.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Board Member Taylor, second by Board Member John. Any discussion on this motion? Board Member Holly, I'm sorry. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Board Member Holly?
Aye.
Board Member Taylor?
Aye.
Board Member Hunter?
Aye.
Board Member Carroll?
Aye.
Board Member John?
Aye.
Okay, item number 3, and that is to have a motion to adjourn from the local building authority.
Do we need to adjourn, or can we just move into the Board of Trustees?
Do we need to move into the Board of Trustees and then approve it as the Board of Trustees again?
No, you are the Board of Trustees now, yeah.
Do we just default? Do we not?
So all you need to do is to move to reconvene as a city council now.
Mayor, I will move to reconvene as the city council.
Second.
I will gladly vote in favor of that.
I have a motion by Board Member Taylor, second by Board Member Hunter. And I'll call for a roll call vote. Board Member Holly?
Aye.
Board Member Taylor?
Mayor?
Yes.
Can we ask for a clarification on the motion? I don't mean to be nitpicky here, but I'm going to be nitpicky.
This is new for us.
Well, let's just do a straight up motion to adjourn, vote on that, and then we can reconvene as a city council. How
Okay,
about
that's where
that?
I was going. So let's, I'm going to say,
Based on that, council, I go
move
away
to-
from my,
okay, abandon the emotion.
you silver tongue. We have to
I move that we,
Hold on, so we have a motion and a second. I was about ready to take a vote. But I'm going to say, if you would just pull your motion.
Sure, I'll pull
All
my
right,
motion.
okay, now, as a local building authority, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mayor.
You have a motion by Board Member Holly, second by Board Member Hunter. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll call for a roll call vote. Councilmember Holly?
Is it Board Member Holly?
Board Member Holly, sorry.
Yes.
Board Member Taylor?
Aye.
Board Member Hunter?
Aye.
Board Member Carroll?
Aye.
Board Member John?
Aye.
Okay, now we're on track here.
Mayor, I move we reconvene as city council.
Good. I have a motion by Councilmember John, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Okay. You know, we're clipping right along here tonight, and the pleasure I take is the fact that, well, you can see where Little Rusty is spending money here, okay? And going through processes. Okay, so, all right, item number 4 is review and action on the appointment of Deb Anderson to the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee with the term ending of 2030. That is a long time. That's a very long time. So, yes, it is. I guess it is. That sounds.
We have an incredible group, don't we, Derek? It's a very incredible group. Mayor, I would move for the appointment of Deb Anderson to the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee with the term ending gleefully 2030.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye, and thank you for being willing.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Okay, item number 5 is a review and action on a resolution to consider the petition for annexation of the Buckwalder Meadows View Ranch annexation consisting of approximately 66.36 acres at 1,000 South and 100 East. Thank you for coming up, Patrick. If you could.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm glad you were able to have a good, short conversation as a warm-up for this one. So as the title for the agenda mentioned, what's being proposed or petitioned for annexation is just a little over 66 acres. The petition process requires an applicant who intends to seek permission to annex into the city to file a formal petition. The runs through the county, comes back to the city to determine whether or not you want to accept that petition or deny the petition. Council has significant discretion of approving or denying a petition to annex. You'll notice in the packet there's some information that staff had outlined in relation to the area where this is one large island in the south part of the city of unincorporated land, and the petition would essentially join the northern portion and southern portion of that unincorporated island, essentially from staff's perspective, creating 2 separate islands. Our city code and state code doesn't permit the creation of new islands. We've had some discussion, and we being staff along with the applicant, and the applicant has had their attorney reach out to us, and Heather and I have discussed it as well at some length, that what is being proposed by the applicant isn't essentially the creation of a new island. It's just the shrinking of an existing island. And we understand that. We accept that as well. And I think all of the arguments that the applicant's legal counsel has made, have significant merit. What we are looking at, though, where this creates a problem, is that it does create 2 separate islands. It's not creating anything new, but the splitting of that existing island creates challenges in the fact that we're shrinking the area that the city has the ability through larger annexations to bring in additional property. That's problematic in the fact that if there's residual parcels left over and it's a single owner, they may not want to annex we may be left with a long-term unincorporated parcel of land, and we may need significant right-of-way to utilize for future capital projects, just to improve our connectivity. So while this doesn't create new islands, the residual islands that are left over are problematic in that regard. As I mentioned, council has discretion whether or not you would view that residual island being left over as something problematic and something that could be denied. And what we would be looking at from a staff perspective is that there isn't essentially anything wrong with the petition to annex the land in. I think we're in favor of that land coming in. I think what we would prefer on a staff perspective is that more of that land would come in, the land on the east, just to avoid future issues and slowdowns with future plans for that area. At the same time, if council views that it's okay to bring in as is petitioned, we can still work with that. It's an easier option in one way to approve a petition tonight rather than denying it, but it creates a bigger challenge to try and address the annexation of future land and the development of that area, as opposed to having a harder issue tonight of denying the petition and bringing it back with that additional land, but then creating an easier option in the future. So it's kind of a balance of what council sees as in the best interest for the city. I can go into more detail just on the points that were raised by the applicant's attorney or any other information that you might need from staff, but I'm happy to kind of discuss any questions you might have.
Mayor, if I could, has there been any discussion with the property owner on the east
with PRI?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some discussion. They came in recently for that, for a land use change. You'll remember the representatives that came forward for that. I think they do have an intention of coming in. I'm not sure the timing on that for them. One of the things is that we've looked at, though, is that the land that's being brought in by the city, by the current petitioner, is that we would have the ability to bring forth additional property owners with that right now, just based on the area of land and evaluation of that. There are some, sorry.
So we're talking about property east of the railroad tracks?
We're talking of the property currently on the east side of 100 East, north of 1100 South. But yes, the area on the east of the railroad tracks that's unincorporated and kind of south, it's east of the Amazon facility. That's some of the challenging property that could be left unincorporated long term. That's kind of what we're looking at of the balance. As I mentioned, there's the applicant's not suggesting, their petition doesn't create any illegal annexation or anything like that. There's no issues with that. It's just a matter of, as we look at it for the city, there's essentially a convenience and a benefit to not having it all happen individually, but having it all come in together. Now, there's pros and cons. If they were split up, there's also, other things that can work. I know it helps the applicant move forward quicker as well, and then they're not held up by potential issues by having multiple property owners within one annexation agreement, as we try to come to terms with what would be outlined in that.
I think that was one of my questions. So if we denied and they had to reapply, it would require other property owners to come and have a conversation. Do they have to pay another fee? Like, what else is involved with?
Yeah, so there is a fee. Where this is something that we're looking at as a benefit to the city, that's something that we can address as well.
Okay.
If that was within the,
okay,
council's discretion. Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Mayor, if I could, I think the intent behind the islands conversation is so that we don't continually face this problem with additional, while it's not necessarily creating new islands, it still isn't solving the problem. And so I'm a huge proponent of, huge. I'm in favor of denying it, or not because I don't want the project to come in, but because I just want to see, let's resolve the issue so we're not kicking the can down the road. I mean, that is how I see the reason that we don't want the islands created, is so that there isn't a future issue. And if we know there's going to be an issue, then it seems prudent to continue moving down.
It's, yeah, the shrinking of one existing island is easier to manage than having multiple unincorporated pieces. Whether they fall into the definition of what an unincorporated island is or not, they are multiple areas that have to be addressed individually rather than shrinking one larger island.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, to reiterate the idea that I don't think, if that's the case, number one, it becomes urgent on staff's part and our part as a staff, as a council, that, hey, let's keep the ball moving.
Yeah.
But it certainly shouldn't harm the applicant as well financially if we're asking for this. I don't think it's not their fault that
we'll do
saying,
everything
hey,
we can on our level if that's the direction council wants to go, of trying to fast track it. I do apologize to the applicant if that is the way it goes, for an unnecessary delay. But where we were still dealing with pending applications from the adjacent property owners, we didn't know if a change was denied, they may not have had any interest in annexing. But where that is now, it seems like that's the direction they're going. But leaving that piece there and having it separate creates other challenges.
Yeah. I mean, this originally came in and was canceled, or
where they were paired up
or
together.
whatever,
yeah.
they were originally paired up. So I don't think we're asking, this isn't some totally unaffiliated parcel that, I mean, it originally came to the council as a single application, I believe. I don't know if that's the right term, but and I think, anyway, I think it would be, how we felt about the increase in the land use and the change in the land, overall land use. But I do feel strongly that they should be able to continue to move, and let's make sure that we do that.
Yeah.
Again, I'd be in favor of denying it only for the expectation that we're still moving forward.
I think one of the benefits we've looked at of having all of the land in that triangular area be in a single annexation agreement is that, similar to how you would master plan a large development, as the city looks at the densities associated with that, access, ingress, egress, like internal access and connectivity within the project, that can all be handled in a kind of a single review rather than trying to coordinate multiple documents and multiple concepts. It can all be kind of handled in the same annexation agreement too.
I don't know if we're ready, or if you're ready for one, Mayor.
You know what, as soon as somebody said I'd like to make a motion.
I'd love to make a motion, Mayor. I'd move wherever, there it is. I move to deny the petition of the annexation of Buckwalder Meadowview Ranch annexation consisting of approximately 66.36 acres of 1,000 south, 100 east.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Hunter, second by Councilmember Hawley. Any discussion on the motion?
How do we help the applicant move forward to keep this process going? And
Fortunately, we need to start from the beginning and refiling paperwork and going through kind of all of the processes that we handle. Sorry, I looked at Terrellian, but historically it would be through the recorder's office. We handle that internally now, but we'd just be starting the process again. And anywhere that we can condense a timeline that's not a statutory timeline that has to be waited upon,
Statutorily speaking, what are those?
There's just noticing periods that have to be met. And
have you ever put the math to it as far as this, what is the waiting period by statute?
There's a 30-day component, and they come at different times in the process. And there's other 10-day or 14-day notices, but that's related to the annexation agreement and public hearings. But anywhere that we can shorten it down, we've got pretty much everything in place already.
I was just going to say, I think it behooves us to, I think it's in our,
We just have to have the discussion with the adjacent property owners.
right, that's all I would say, is anything we can do to make the applicant's application whole
And a
currently.
waiving of fees.
Just curry that on.
Council's
I mean,
okay with that.
I don't want to have them asking them to go and resubmit paperwork, and, I mean, if we need to do that, we'll figure that out.
There's a new
Whatever it
petition
is,
that would
but
need to be filed. and
Anything we can do to
notices,
help
but-
that process, I
Yep,
think,
we can do.
is on us.
Yep.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'm going to call for a vote. Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
All right, item number 6 is a review and action on a resolution regarding American Fork Irrigation shareholders discount agreements and long-term rental agreements.
Hey, Ryan, we get to talk about water. Mayor, I know that we've tried to fast track this, and there are I think there's some issues on both sides for the irrigation company and the city. I would like to put this on hold and bring it back as quick as we could and clarify some things so that there's clarifications for the shareholders, and I think there's some things in there I'd like to clarify for the city. So I would move to table this resolution.
Councilmember John, just if you could disclose for the record.
Yes. I'm
That
sorry.
would be very helpful.
Okay,
Thank you.
I have to disclose that I have a conflict of interest. I'm also the board member and chairman of American Fork Irrigation Company.
So with that disclosure, it would probably be incumbent upon the council to have someone else perhaps make a motion?
I'd be happy to table this, Mayor.
Should I recuse myself?
And I'd be happy to second that, unless Councilman Taylor already.
Heather, should I recuse myself? Would that be best?
Yeah, I think that would be best.
Okay, then I recuse myself from this motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hunter, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on the motion? I'm right.
I mean, I'll just say that the intent that we're trying to do here is just to prevent new people from coming in, and I'm fully in favor of that. I don't know if there's
The irrigation
details.
company board is also in favor of that. but-
Okay. To me, the sooner the better that we get that done. I don't know, we had a brief conversation about what that would take, but you all seem very emphatic, and I'm great with that, other than I'm really emphatic that that should happen very quickly. So whatever we need to do to get that done, I'm happy to table it, but just know that that's where I'm headed.
I agree. I mean, I don't think we have we've talked about a number of people who are kind of in the works, that have been in the works for some time. It doesn't appear that there's any mad rush to have people come in there, but the intent is to protect the long-term viability.
Yeah.
But it's also to protect the 2007 agreement and identifying what that actual agreement includes, for me, is the reason that I want to.
Okay, I was under the understanding, based on our last meeting, that portion of it would still be to come.
Yeah.
And this portion was just
To
the-
prevent.
To prevent, yeah.
Well, and I think there's conversation about each of these shareholder agreements being independent, and so verbiage that would include and maybe for me, clarify all, however that's worded, so that all agreements, because each individual agreement for these items are to each individual one, right? It's not just the agreement originally written in 2007.
Fair enough, yeah.
So I would love to see but again, I don't think
Yeah.
this is a long, drawn-out process. I think
Okay,
whatever it needs to be, but it's not long.
I think in January we could get it wrapped
Yeah, that's kind of where
up.
I'm thinking, but
okay,
Okay.
okay.
I have a motion and a second to table this, and I'm going to call for a vote. Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember John has abstained, okay. Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Okay, item number 7 is a review and action on an ordinance approving additional distribution of park tax funds to Harrington Center for the Arts.
Mayor, I move to adopt the ordinance approving the additional disbursement of park tax funds in the amount of $9,075. Is that correct? It's not in the suggestion, I think so, since it's at the top.
Second.
Can I just make a clarification on the ordinance? There, in the printed materials, there was a date that was incorrect. It said 2023 to 2024. If the motion can just incorporate the change, that the applicable year is 2024 to 2025.
I move to incorporate that change.
And I will second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Holly, second by Councilmember Taylor. Any discussion on the motion?
Mayor, can we figure out how we're going to, maybe it's not on the motion, so maybe this isn't appropriate to ask, but can we fix this going forward so that maybe that's just a request of staff?
Yeah, I think we'll see this back in our fee schedule.
Okay, I also would love, I mean, I've said this a couple of different times, I would love to clarify so that staff doesn't have to make any judgment calls, just what is a special event permit,
Straight it out.
what is not, and which part of the park, just have it very, very clear, because we never define special event. Anyway.
Well, the other thing too is that I don't, now we're going down this, not necessarily the motion, but I don't like the idea of relying on a resident or a developer or whoever it is coming to the staff and saying, well, that's how I interpret it.
Yeah, yes.
That's not okay in my mind. We need to have it clear cut.
Just clear.
This is
Yeah.
how the staff
Just
is
clear.
doing it. I don't think it's fair to, or prudent for them to come to us and say, well, that's how we interpret it, therefore that's how we do it. We just had this on we have to a little later on another project. Well, we interpret it differently. Definition of this is mixed use is something different. Except every other person will understand it.
All right, we will bring that back. We will have a greater discussion on that. So I have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Item number 8 is a review and action on a resolution approving updates to the Timpanogos Special Service District fees. And I'm going to have our board member, David Bunker, explain this a little bit, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So there's two things that the Timpanogos Special Service District Board has considered, and that is an adjustment to the impact fee charge for new connections to the system. And then there is also an increase in the user rate fees. And so those two components would be reflected on the city's fee schedule, and the city should adopt those fees as adopted by the board, the Timpanogos Special Service District Board. And so the board made a vote earlier, and these fees would go into effect in January. So it's incumbent on us, unless the city wants to help cover those costs, that we pass on the exact costs that the Timpanogos Special Service District Board has adopted to future connections and to our residents as far as the user rates go. Again, this is an action by the Timpanogos Special Service District Board, and we're basically the pass-through for that. We collect those fees, the impact fees, and we remit those to Timpanogos directly as part of the building permit process.
Mayor, I'd move to approve the resolution amending the general fee schedule to include revisions to the TSSD impact fee and user fee rates.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by
Mayor,
Councilmember.
could I also disclose that I am on the Timpanogos Special Service District Board?
We got a lot of disclosures going on.
Just to make sure that that's on the record.
Okay, thank you.
Heather, we don't have to have a public hearing when we do a fee change like this?
The public hearings were held at the Timpanogos Special Service District,
okay.
because they're really the ones implementing the fees, not American Fork
So
City.
we're just doing the pass-through, okay. I just wanted to understand that.
When was the last time they increased fees? Do you know?
2 years ago?
Yeah, it's been, they increased the impact fee a couple years ago, adjusted it, but then they also had a user rate increase last year.
Yeah, because I remember voting on something last year when I first started.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Okay, item number 9 is review and action on an ordinance creating sections 15.04.011 and sections 15.14.015 relating to the adoption of the 2006 Wildland Urban Interface Areas. Is there any, I can bring Chief up here if,
I'm happy to
we
just
need
make a
him.
motion.
Okay. Okay.
Move to adopt the ordinance creating section 15.04, 15.04.011 and 15.14.015 relating to the adoption of the 2006 Wildland Urban Interface
Second.
Areas.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on the motion?
Do I need to disclose that I go to the fireman's breakfast on a regular basis?
We're not done yet, Bart. Just hold that thought.
All right, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Boy, that was pretty clever, actually.
That's really surprising coming from you.
All right, item number 10 is review and action on approval of a reimbursement agreement for Roderick Enterprises for Roderick Catalyst, phase number 3.
Mayor, I move to approve, unless we have someone coming up. I move to approve the reimbursement agreement with Roderick Catalyst for system improvements for an amount no greater than $605,285.41 for Roderick Catalyst Phase 3.
I'll second.
A motion by Councilmember Holly, second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I will call for a vote. Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Item number 11 is a review and action on the American Fork Betterment Agreement with the Utah Department of Transportation for work on Project F-LC49, parentheses 203 BFB, the American Fork City Bridge replacements. I asked Sam earlier to say, come up this front row for a little bit, this, that, and this. Any questions that you have for Sam or Stan?
How about Sam? Great job. It's about time. That 4th North and 4th East is a rough one when we have high water, so good job.
I didn't look them up. I trust them. Tell me which one that is.
That's the double 8-foot tubes that we have on 4th North and 4th East. That's one of them, and so it collects trash in the middle. It's a challenge for Public Works. So, Mr. Mayor.
We put a camera on it.
Yep, we did. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the American Fork Betterment Agreement with Utah Department of Transportation for the work on Project F-LC49, parentheses 203, parentheses BFP, American Fork City Bridge replacements.
A motion by Councilmember John. Second by Councilmember Hunter. Any discussion on the motion?
Just gotta be real careful when you're going down there as a kid, in junior high, because you get caught right between those two tubes and the water's going high.
Yeah,
You
that's-
got nowhere to go.
That is
They
not a
actually have to
joke.
lower something down and pull you out from the top.
That-
I've just heard that happens. I
Yep,
never-
yep, that's where we had
Yeah,
the
I've heard
the
that
kid
happens, yeah.
3 years ago fall in, and the gentleman jumped in and pitched the kid out and went through the tubes with all the rebar and stuff poking out and came out with no harm. I mean, it was amazing, so.
Okay, I'm going to call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Item number 12 is a review and action on the American Fork Dry Creek Watershed Agreement with the Natural Resource Conservation Services, NRCS. Any questions?
Mayor, I'd move to approve the American Fork Dry Creek Watershed Agreement between the Natural Resource Conservation Service and American Fork City, Lehigh City, and Saratoga Springs City.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on the motion? All right, I will call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Item number 13 is a review and action on the award of the contract for the fiscal year 2026 microsurface project.
Mayor, I'd move
that the city award the FY 2026 microsurface project amount of $455,200 to the responsible low bidder, Intermountain Slurry Seal, Inc., and approve the construction contract as presented in addition to a project construction and engineering contingency of $40,000 to be held by the city.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hunter, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion?
It's Councilmember Hawley.
Excuse me, Councilmember Hawley.
He's quick with the seconds tonight.
I will call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Item number 14 is a review and action on an approval of a reimbursement agreement for system improvements made on Grant Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the reimbursement agreement with Tyler James Perry for the amount of $10,000 for system improvements made on Grant Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hawley, second by Councilmember Hunter. Any discussion on the motion? Call for a vote. Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Item number 15 is a review and action on the design contract for the 100 East Waterline Replacement Project.
Mr. Mayor, I have to disclose I serve on North Utah County Water Conservancy District with the principal in Hanson and Luce. I told you I wasn't done, Clark. Mike Chambers and I serve on that board together.
Okay.
I am happy to make a motion. I move that the city award the 100 East Waterline Replacement Project in the amount of $80,295.60 to the highest scored proposer, Hanson Allison Luce, Inc., and approve the design contract as presented in addition to a project engineering contingency of $8,000 to be held by the city.
Okay, I have a motion by
Second.
Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Taylor. Any discussion on the motion? Call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Item number 16 is review and action on the design contract for the Dixie Well project.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the city award the Dixie Well engineering project in the amount of $377,261 to the highest scored proposer, Bowen Collins and Associates, and approve the design contract as presented in addition to a project engineering contingency of $40,000 to be held by the city.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember John, second by
Hawley.
Motion by Councilmember Hunter, or Hawley, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on this motion? All right, I will call for a vote. Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Item number 17 is a review and action on the design contract for the 860 East, 1300 South Storm Drain Project.
We need to move to the next. I don't see the right one in front of us.
She's looking for it, I'm sure.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the city award the 860 East, 1300 South Storm Drain Project design in the amount of $96,900 to the highest scored proposer, Franson Civil Engineers, and approve the design contract as presented in addition to a project engineering contingency of $10,000 to be held by the city.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on the motion?
I like the way we're writing the new motions. By the way, the highest scored proposer.
It's kind of awkward,
All
actually,
right, Councilmember Hunter.
the phrasing.
Aye.
Proposer?
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Item number 18 is a review and action on a resolution approving a general plat amendment known as the American Fork Station Area Plan. We've had this before us. Patrick will maybe just give a little better explanation as to why it's back here and where it's been.
Thanks, Mayor. You remember a couple of months ago, it was before City Council. It's gone through Planning Commission for recommendation. City Council made an approval for as to form, so it could move forward to Mountain Land Association of Governments and the Station Area Plan Policy Committee, which Mayor Frost is a member of, along with some of the other mayors in the county. The MAG had asked that we bring it forward in that manner because they wanted an approval to form in case any minor amendments had to be made. And then upon certification, they would kick it back to the city for final ratification by just approval through resolution. When City Council approved it as to form, there were a couple of conditions attached. Those conditions have been addressed, and then there was an update because of that to the matrix within the kind of an Excel-looking page inside the cover of the document that just outlined where certain criteria that were required based on state requirements, where they were located in the document. So that was updated, and then through the review with MAG, there was an update in the document that they had required where we had mislabeled a roadway in 2 locations. So they just changed it. I think it was 570 West to 700 West. So it was just a re-referencing, but there was no material changes beyond that. So it's back, other than the conditions and that change from MAG that one of their long-range planners had caught. There's no other changes, so it's still in original format. Yeah, so hopefully it's in an approvable form.
Sorry. You ready?
We're ready.
I'd move to adopt the resolution approving amendment to the general plan known as the American Fork Station Area Plan.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second, and I will tell you this, we looked good that day. So thank you, Patrick. All right, we call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
All right, item number 19 is a consideration and action to enter into a closed session to discuss items described in Utah State Code 52-4-205 and 52-4-204 and 52-4-205. It's been a long night.
Yes.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hunter, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a roll call vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
All right, for the public record, the council will convene downstairs in a closed session. Our purpose is to discuss real estate. Upon ending that meeting, we will open the door and we'll reconvene our city council from downstairs, and then we will adjourn from there. So thank you for being here. Wow, my mouth is dry, and it is just, I feel like I've done all my talking for 10 years.